The eucalyptus tree. Today, I'm going to talk about the eucalyptus tree. This is a very common tree here in Australia, whereas also sometimes called the rum tree. First, I'm going to talk about why it's important. Then I'm going to describe some problems it faces at present. Right, wow, the eucalyptus tree is an important tree for lots of reasons. For example, it gives shelter to creatures like birds and bats. And these and other pieces also depend on it for food, particularly the nectar from its flowers. So it supports biodiversity. It's useful to us humans too because we can keep streams with a distinct fashion made from oil extracted from eucalyptus leaves. The eucalyptus grows all over Australia, and the trees can live for up to 400 years. So it's alarming that all across the country number of eucalyptus are falling because the trees are dying off prematurely. So what are the reasons for this? One possible reason is disease. As far back as the 1970s, the trees started getting a disease called mandala yellows. The tree's leaves would gradually turn yellow, then the tree would die. It wasn't until 2004 that they found the causes the problem was clam, or calcium hydroxide. To give it its proper chemical name, which were being used in the construction of roads. The limb was being washed away into the ground and affecting the roots of the eucalyptus tree nearby. What these were doing was preventing the trees from sucking up the iron they needed from healthy growth. When these were injected back into the affected trees, they immediately recovered. But this problem only affected a relatively small number of trees. By 2000, huge numbers of eucalyptus were dying along Australia's coast of a disease known as male minor associated dieback. The male minor is a bird, and disease seems to be common where there are high populations of male minors. Again, it's the leaves of the trees that are affected. What happens is that insects settle on the leaves and eat their way around them, destroying them as they go, and at the same time, they secrete a solution which has sugar in it. The male minor birds really like this solution, and in order to get as much as possible, they keep away other creatures that may try to get it. So these birds and insects flourish at the expense of other species, and eventually so much damage is done to the leaves that the tree dies. But experts say that trees can start looking sick before any sign of male minor associated dieback. So it looks as if the problem may have another explanation. One possibility is that it's to do with the huge forest fires that we have in Australia. A theory proposed over 40 years ago by ecologist William Jackson is that the frequencies of forest fires in a particular region affects the type of vegetation that grows there. If there are very frequent forest fires in a region, this encourages grass to grow afterwards. While if the forest fires are rather less frequent, this results in the growth of eucalyptus forests. So why is this? Why do very frequent forest fires actually support the growth of eucalyptus tree? Well, one reason is that the fire stops the growth of other pieces which would consume water needed by eucalyptus tree. And there's another reason. If these other quick-growing pieces of bushes and plants are allowed to proliferate, they harm the eucalyptus. Another way by affecting the composition of the soil and removing nutrients from it. So some perspires are actually essential for the eucalyptus to survive as long as they are not too frequent. In fact, there's evidence that Australia has in these genus people practice regularly burning of purse land for thousands of years before the arrival of the Europeans. But since Europeans arrived on the continent, the number of perspires has been strictly controlled. Now, scientists believe that this reduced frequency of perspires to low levels had led to what's known as ripe rainforests, which seems as odd name, as usually we associate tropical rainforests with bad conditions. And what's special about these types of rainforests? Well, unlike tropical rainforests, which is a rich ecosystem, this type of ecosystem is usually a simple one. It has very thick, dense vegetation, but not much variety of pieces. The vegetation provides lots of shade, so one species that does find this ideal is the bell-minor bird, which builds its nest in the undergrowth there. But again, that's not helpful for the eucalyptus tree.